India was able to bomb more than 13 Pakistan Air Force bases, radar stations, command and control centers, apart from bombing 9 terror base camps and headquarters, including the one of Lashkar-e-Taiba at Murid and jaish-e-mohammad in Bahawalpur. What does this say of India's dominance in this battle? And of course, the commentary that's followed. Joining me now on this India Today special broadcast is Colonel John Spencer, a U.S. Army veteran, an analyst, and chair of the Center for Urban Warfare Studies. Colonel Spencer, welcome on India Today. Information just coming in. 15 BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles were fired at Pakistan military bases, apart from the targeting of 9 terror camps. What does this say of India's intent with the missiles finding their target?
One, it shows an undeniable military superiority that India was able to launch those missiles and hit every target, which is no easy task. There's radars, there's interceptors, there's all kinds of things, but also shows the precision. India was not going, escalating. It was responding to being attacked both from a terror attack and from the Pakistan military. So those very specific precision guided munitions that can hit within 3 meters, essentially, was a very big choice to make sure they're hitting what they want, to send the exact message that they want, which is we can hit any site in Pakistan that we want. But we're showing restraint as a sign of strength in establishing a new doctrine, basically.
Explain this new doctrine in your appreciation as someone who studies urban warfare very closely, the action on ground, and what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said about dealing with Pakistan's state-sponsored terror.
Yeah, it's been really amazing to watch in a short amount of time to basically establish a new strategic doctrine, which is no easy task. The first part of it was that any terror attack will be immediately responded to with force. I've been to Mumbai. I've studied the 2008 Mumbai attack. That's a very different approach, even in Balakot in 2019, to say we will respond with overwhelming but precise force to any terror attack. And this is basically establishing a new red line for India not to seek other means and first respond with military force. But then there are other aspects to this which are really important. I mean, the comment about terrorism and talk. So terrorism and then we negotiate and seek diplomatic means don't mix, just like blood and water don't mix. That was a very powerful statement. Then the other aspect was the no nuclear blackmail, right? So this state sponsorship of many terrorist organizations, especially lashkar-e-taiba, with the Pakistan ISI trained, financed, and deployed into India to do attacks, that nuclear blackmail will no longer be the excuse to why people should say that this should be accepted. India is saying no longer will this reckless, basically, nuclear blackmail be the reason that this is allowed to continue, which I think the entire world should take note of that. Everybody usually steps in because these are, Pakistan has a nuclear weapon, saying, look, you gotta not respond. You have to keep this at a certain level. Absolutely, India did do that. It provided immediate responses proportionate to the objective that they were trying to achieve, but no more nuclear blackmail. Just because you have a nuclear weapon in the world, let alone if you're a state backer of terrorism, doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. But India also showed, in order to establish this new doctrine, you have to have deterrence. And India
Yes.
showed and validated their military superiority, both offensively, so being able to hit any site, but also defensively. So Pakistan wasn't able to hit a single site in India, even though they targeted civilian and military sites. They weren't able to.
That's a Yes, that's a very interesting point to make this. So India was able to establish military superiority both in offensive operations and in defensive operations. Now, the choice of targets, because as an academic, when you study it, and in your military appreciation, you're an armed forces veteran, you've served overseas, you've battled terrorism, you've also been to India after 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. The choice of targets, Lashkar headquarters, Murid ke, jaish-e-mohammad, one of the most important facilities, that Masjid Subhanallah, Markaz Subhanallah in Bahawalpur. Is that the strongest possible message to state-sponsored terrorism, we can hit you at your home.
Absolutely. And it's limited, right? So this is where you have, even I've heard in India, people wanting unlimited goals. Like you got to go destroy it. You got to get them while now is the time. Those specific targets, training camps, infrastructure, were directly attributed to the attack on India. So that's the proportional use of force that is was very used what we call smart power, right? So being able and then immediately communicate to everyone why those targets, how they were hit, what they were hit with. That's been a uniqueness to this war as well. The transparency of the Indian military and government going, this is what we hit, this is why we hit it, so that it isn't possible then to escalate like Pakistan did by launching military capabilities. That was so even in response, and maybe we'll talk about that, when India then responded to that attack, it was very tied to the counteraction and the goal being achieved, the deterrence goal. So anything used to launch those drones, the radar systems, the launching pads, and then a demonstration of capability, a message.
But just as you very rightly pointed out, Colonel Spencer, it was a demonstration of capabilities. You know, that India can target Pakistan, whether it's in Skardu in Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, or in the heart of Pakistan's Punjab province, you know, take out a radar station at Pasroor very close to Mangla, the radars that manage their Honky HQ 9P, their air defense system. What does it say of Chinese weapons and system? The fact that a PL-15 air-to-air missile was found almost intact, 100% intact, perhaps propellant spent, but no target hit.
Yeah, it's definitely revealing. War is always the test, right? So you have war on paper and you have war in reality. India demonstrated both their investments were the right ones in Indian-made products, mostly with some other products, and Pakistan, backed by Chinese mainly, with a little bit of Turkish capability, showed that their capabilities weren't what they thought they were. And India was able to destroy any capability and hit any target it wanted. So there are going to be a lot of rethinking happening here, and there should be. This is a new India. This is a new doctrine. Pakistan now gets to make decisions. I'm sure it will keep investing in Chinese technologies that are now shown to be not as capable as they probably were sold as being, but also China's untested. Now we have a chance, and this is one of the reasons why Operation Sindoor isn't over, because Pakistan gets to make decisions at this point.
Very interesting. So, in your military appreciation, the Chinese air defense system, the Chinese radars, the Chinese offensive capabilities like the PL-15 air-to-air missile, or the Chinese J-10C fighter jets, their latest, or the JF-17s, which only, of course, Pakistan uses. In your appreciation, were they found to be subpar compared to, if I may, India's BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, going more than 3 times the speed of sound, slamming into targets, decimating targets, including the Chinese systems?
Undeniable. And like you said at the beginning of the show, the satellite imagery showing undeniably that system that was meant to prevent that attack didn't work for you. So that's undeniable that the Chinese systems were viewed subpar to Indian capabilities. But I also take that with a bit of hesitation, because now they get to make changes. So it isn't like you'll
Yes.
always have that superiority, but clearly India's investments, the way you put all this together, because it's not one magic capability, it's not one magic missile. It takes all kinds of systems from air, basically coverage, electronic warfare, all of this suite of systems, both offensive and defensively. India showed and demonstrated overwhelming military superiority in every aspect of that.